You've heard about Tesla, right? It's the coolest car in the world today. They got 2 complaints of accidents happening or the engine catching fire because when the undercarriage was low and when they went over and they were going at high speeds and they went over debris on a highway, sometimes there were sparks and the battery caught fire and it led to accidents. So what did the car manufacturer do? Normally what happens in such situations is that the company has to do a product recall, right? You call back all the cars, you do something, you change it, and you make it safer for consumers. What did Tesla do? It is all wireless. They put in some lines of code, pressed a button, and across the world, in all the thousands of cars that they had sold of that model, the cars automatically, I'm assuming they used pneumatics, the undercarriage of the car went up, right? It became safer, easier to use. Can we imagine that happening just even a few years back? Now, what worries me is what if the hackers get into it, right? If the hackers get into the code and they can do anything to the car, but that's a separate story. So, blink and the world changes. Some of you will remember the patriotic zeal we felt when Sare Jahan Se Achha Hindustan Hamara was said when we sent our first man into space. Today, there is a Russian billionaire who is working with Stephen Hawking to create laser-guided nanocrafts, which will travel at 20% the speed of light. What does that mean? These nanocrafts can reach Pluto in 3 days. You take a train from here to Trivandrum, it probably takes 3 days today, right? These laser-guided crafts, they are working on the project. Very soon, we will be able to get to Pluto in 3 days. That is the pace of change. And as we talk about disruptors, they're all around, right? I'm not going to talk about Uber and Airbnb, everyone talks about it. The reality is companies are transforming, sometimes for the good, and sometimes, as Blockbuster found out, for very different reasons. They went from 60,000 employees to 0 in 5 years, right? And there are statistics that I think in the next 10 years, probably 50% of Fortune 500 companies will just cease to exist. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the mega forces that are influencing this rate of change, and I will connect that as to why, therefore, the importance of internal transformation. But before I get to that, let's do a show of hands. How many of you in your respective organizations are going through or have been tasked with or are planning to drive transformation projects? Do a show of hands. Almost 50%, right? And this number will just keep increasing. So on one hand, we have disruptive technology, we have robotics, we have analytics, all of that coming in. We have also a completely different generation of workforce that's coming into our offices. I have 2 friends, right, whose sons, before the age of 16, they're in class 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, have already set up their own companies, right, have already created their first app, right, and are now marketing it around the world. When these people join our workforce, life is not going to be the same. 2 big things that will impact all of our lives, right? And there are many more. I'm just taking 2 examples here. In every industry, there's going to be this kind of a disruption. One, we believe that the way talent is looked like, right, today, and the reason I'm talking about talent is people, at the end, it's about people, right? You can have technology, but at least for now, you need people to make that technology. Robots are down the line and artificial intelligence is not very far away, but let's leave that for now. Talent supply chains are getting disrupted. So what does that mean? If you look at work that people do today, from basic data entry, which is a 12th pass or a graduate can do basic data entry work, to high-end analytics or data scientists, research, underwriting experts, doctors, there's a whole value stream of skills that are there across most companies, right? Every company has from a lowest end to the highest trend. With robotics very soon transforming and disrupting the way we work, a lot of the skill sets at the beginning of the value chain are going to go away. And therefore, that has a lot of impact on the way we look at our people processes. So when we talk about internal transformation, we're talking about HR, we're talking about finance, we're talking about IT within the organization. If the talent processes and the talent supply chain is disrupted, the way some of these processes work will change dramatically. We don't know how as yet, but it will. The other big change that we're seeing, the shift we're seeing, is that now employees